Hello, and welcome to I'll Knit With You. My name is Rebecca. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as EvilTwin2. You can find show notes on the blog, illknitwithyou.blogspot.com. You can find our group on Ravelry, I'll Knit With You, or you can email me, illknitwithyou@gmail.com. Holy cow, how are you guys? It has been a little bit. December just totally got away from me, and I was working a ton, and then by the time I got to Christmas break, I was just ready to not do anything and hide out in my parents' house, so that's what I did. Yeah, I didn't mean to disappear, but sometimes it's what you gotta do for your mental health, and I think that's okay. So, I guess there's like a billion things to talk about, but of course, since there's a billion things to talk about, I can't think of any of them. My Christmas and New Year's was good. I hope your guys' was too. I didn't get a whole lot of yarny Christmas presents this year, but that's okay because I'm trying to do the Yarn Diet 2016. So in this episode, you will have a very short, very small, regular episode, a good explanation of the 2016 Yarn Diet, and then the Harry Potter House Cup great big summary that I've been promising you guys. So that is all going to be in this episode rather than take this episode and cut it up to a couple different ones because that seems ridiculous. So, yeah, I've got some stuff to talk about in my stash, so we'll get there pretty quickly. First off is blobbins. I have been spinning, and more on that a little bit later, but I spun some Falkland wool that was gradient dyed, wool top, in the Grateful Dyed colorway, wow, by the Wild Hair Fiber Studios. And I dyed this, it was like a rainbow gradient, I think I've shown it on here before, and I dyed it as a fractal spin. So what that means is that I took the big long piece of wool roving and I split it right down the middle, so I had two big really long strips. And the first really thick long strip I spun as was, you know, to keep the big long color repeats. And the second one I split up into as many tiny little strips as I could spin with, and I spun all those tiny little strips so that I would have like one long color repeat and then lots of little color repeats that matched up with that. So because of that, some of the colors do line up several times, and so I called this the Yarn of 1,000 Rainbows. And I think it's really, really pretty. So you can tell there are parts where like this yellow matches up, if you can see that. But then there are also parts where it bar pulls, and so it'll be really interesting to see what on earth this looks like knit up, but it is the Yarn of 1,000 Rainbows. And I was really excited about how this turned out. I wasn't sure if I would enjoy spinning a rainbow gradient. I just always see them and always want to buy one, and it's hard every time to turn that down. And then I found one in a D-stash, and so I snatched it up, and now I have the Yarn of 1,000 Rainbows. This is part of my mega spin for Maria. So, if you are a newer viewer, she sent me a big box of fiber to spin up for her of all different sorts of stuff, and then a couple of larger items. And I'm spinning those up for her, and then I'm going to mail them back once they're all done. Or halfway through, or whatever we end up deciding to do. So this was Baby Camel. There was a dark color and a light color, so I did a 2-ply of that. And it's really soft, and it's really hard to spin with because it just falls apart because it's so soft. But it's done. It's beautiful. It's good. And I think it turned out really, really well. So I'm excited about that. I do have some whips. I did not finish any of my Christmas knitting, but I wasn't doing that much. I was working on a vest for my mom, but she's unaware of that. So that doesn't really count because I didn't actually give it to her as a Christmas gift. Partially finished. I did give my sister this finished 005. It's a scarf by Yoth Yarns Company. And of course they suggest using their yarn, but I picked up some Midas Yorgway. And so far I have not gotten very far. It's just a herringbone stitch scarf so far. But then I'll pick up and do some edging. So this is not get done, and I just started knitting again for the first time this year yesterday because I just haven't had any time, which is ridiculous. So, that's a failed Christmas present, but I told her I would give it to her soon, and she seemed really excited about it anyway. So, I think when I get it done, she'll be happy. So, that is one whip. I started something for myself yesterday, although I should be finishing that scarf first. But sometimes you need, like, when you're gift knitting, you need like incentive knitting, like something to get your mojo going. Because it's no fun to knit on something that you're not really. I mean, I like that pattern, but the herringbone stitch takes twice as long as knitting regularly, I feel like. And so I needed something to get my mojo going a little bit. And I've been looking at using some of my more beautiful sock yarns for hats because I have really started wearing hats a lot. I find it really comfortable. With my short hair, it kind of keeps everything like where it needs to be. And if I'm having a bad hair day, like, it's okay, just throw on a beautiful hat. But unfortunately, I kind of suck at making hats. I have my brown hat I made recently. That's way too big. I have the purple hat I made recently. It's way too small. I have the Colorway hat I made to match my Plum Rondo a la Turk, which fits okay, except the color work is tighter than the rest of the hat. So I feel like where I think the brim is actually like an inch lower. So none of those really work that great. And so I decided to start knitting with some of my thinner yarns. So this is the House Cup colorway. It is by Jinx Yarn. It has all of the different colors of all the different houses. So Ravenclaw, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin. And I'm knitting the Midas hat. And I just finished the, what's it called? It's not a rolled brim, but it's the brim where you knit some of it and then you fold it up on the inside and you knit two pieces together. I'm doing that brim. So I just finished that. So I've made much more progress than what it looks like I have because I've actually got double this. And you can see on the inside that that's all knit up. And then it was folded to be the inside. And I've done only like 2 or 3 rows after doing the folded brim. Maybe that's what it's called. Folded, I really want to know what that word is now. Anyway, so I think this yarn is stunning. I really, really like it. I think it's striping up really beautifully. Some of the colors are a little bit more muddly because these are intended for socks, so the stripe is a lot thinner than it should be. And so I'm losing a lot of the, not the color, but like, it's supposed to be a stripe, and it's going to be like 1 row. And, you know, I think it's a hat. I think it's okay. So, all of them still go all the way around at least once. Usually they double up a little bit somewhere. So, like, what I mean is this yellow will start here and go all the way around and have just, a couple inches of doubled upness. So it is thicker over here than it is on this side. But, I like the way it's going. I haven't actually tried this on yet, so who knows if it's going to fit. But, I have a bad habit of using the wrong size needles on hats, and I'm pretty sure that's the problem with why things don't fit. I don't know why I do that, but I do pretty often. So, this is the size that they asked for. That is what I am doing. So, that's going really, really well, and I'm hoping to get done this month so I can turn it in for a class. Okay. I have an FO, but I already gave it away. It was sort of a Christmas present. I made it for one of my friends. I may have shown it to you guys, almost finished. I think I did, actually. But here she is wearing it. She really, really liked it. She's worn it, like, all the time since, which is really cool and very flattering. And so, I'm really glad that it turned out really well and that she liked it. So, that was pretty awesome. I do have some mustache because prior to 2016, I bought myself some yarny stuff to kind of like tide me over for the first couple months. So let me get to that, and then we'll talk about the yarn diet and the house cup. So my brother and sister-in-law bought me some Spun Right Round, and it is a beautiful and speckly. This is the Snappy sock in the Keen colorway. It is 434 yards, 75% superwash Cordell, 25% nylon. I forgot what I was doing there for a second. This is awesome yarn, and I cannot wait to knit with this. No idea what it's going to be, but still pretty excited about it. I bought another one of these. I knit my Harry Potter sweater out of this, my house cup sweater, and this is BFL Sport, 100% blue lace Leicester, hand-painted fiber. Wait, yeah, just fiber, but it's actually, yarn. In the True Blood Red colorway. I have some of this left over from my last sweater. There's actually a lot of this left over. So, I'm hoping to make something pretty large with what I have left. So we'll see what I can accomplish. I bought my first skein of Nerd Girl yarns. This is erudite on the Heart U base. It is 490 yards, 100 grams. It's a light 3-ply with light fingering 3-ply with 100% superwash merino. And I just really like these colorways. And erudite is from the Divergent book series. So this is one of the 4 different factions. My friend Mary did some indigo dyeing and sent me this completely stunning yarn. I have no idea what it's going to be. She said there's a lot of transfer, so I may not use something close to my face. Or like, you know, I don't know what it'll be, but it's really pretty, right? She dyed this on the Knit Picks Bare Merino Wool DK Light base. So this is awesome. And she's amazing, so I'm pretty pumped about this stuff. I bought myself some non-yarn accessories. So Gusler Designs does amazing stuff. And one of her things, she does these mother of all tags, and they're on like Tyvek material, I think is how you say it. So there's different information that you can fill out, print out on both sides, and you fill it out on Sharpie, and then it's washable tags for your spinning. And since the Yarn of 1,000 Rainbows has not been washed yet, I need to fill out one of these tags and get it on there. But I thought, especially if I'm spinning for other people, then I can fill out these tags and they'll know exactly what they're getting, instead of like trying to say, oh hey, the one that looks like this is this, because that's kind of hard to keep track of. So these tags would help a lot. I bought 2 packs of those. I bought myself some stuff from Akerworks for my spinning wheel. Now they don't actually have my spinning wheel on there. I think they have the first Kiwi and I have the second Kiwi. So I got a single drive bobbin in blue, and their stuff just kind of like snaps together, so you just kind of like, boom, it's together. Which means you can also pack them so they lay flat, which is pretty awesome. Now, I'm a little confused though, because I bought a single drive, but my whirls, I've lost all my words all of a sudden. This side is bigger than this side, and I thought that was what a double drive was. So if I've gotten the wrong order, will someone let me know? I don't want to email them and just sound like an idiot, you know, but at the same time, like, these are different sizes, and that's not how my wheel works. So I can just use the one side. I probably could use both sides. I've never tried it. Actually, I haven't used it yet, so I'm not entirely sure how that'll work out, but I am really excited about it. They 3D print their bobbins, which is really stinking cool, and they're very, very, very pretty. And since I was buying something from them, I got one of these little hedgehog guys, and it is, it threads your yarn through the hook. I don't think it says exactly what it is, but, kind of like how, oh, I'm knocking stuff off. Where's my, okay, so this is my regular orifice hook, okay? It's just kind of like a piece of metal. It's got a hook on one end. This is their orifice hook. It's a cute little hedgehog. Look at him, he's 3D printed. And then this is a piece of like, kind of like fishing line, but you put it through and it would grab the yarn and then you pull that through. So I haven't tried it, but it makes a lot of sense to me. And this little hedgehog has wheels on him, and the wheels move. So I saw him at SSK and I wanted one ever since. So that's pretty cool. I also bought myself some regular bobbins, because I only had the 3 that came with my wheel. And now I have 5 regular Ashford bobbins. These are Ashford bobbins. And then 1 Akerworks bobbin. So that's pretty awesome. Because I want to spin a lot this year, and I figure if I could give myself incentive to spin, then I would spin more, which makes sense to me. So hopefully that happens a lot. So let's talk about the 2016 yarn diet. The yarn diet, like I've said before, isn't to not buy yarn in 2016. It's to buy less yarn in 2016. And it's more about using what you bring in instead of just bringing in a whole lot and then not using any of it, which is my habit, is I buy things and then they just sit. Like I didn't have that much of a stash, and now I have a decent stash and none of it gets knit with. So that seems kind of silly. So it's a lot of like points involved. If you would like to see more, there's a fantastic thread going on in my Ravelry group, I'll Knit With You. People are talking in there. I've got a spreadsheet that you can put your name on where we can see how everyone's doing. I've even recently added a portion where you can see how much weight you've lost this year. You enter in the ounces that you've used, and then my spreadsheet calculates how many pounds you've lost of yarn, or how many kilograms you've lost of yarn if you're in the UK. or anywhere else that uses kilograms, anywhere besides the US. So that's really fun, and I feel like people are really excited about it, and I know I am too. So far, I've not done a ton of stuff, but I am using 2 skeins of stash, and I finished up a spinning, so that's 4 points right there. I haven't figured out how much, since I have 2 things that are whips, I haven't figured up how much that is weight-wise. So we will see. Now let's talk about the Harry Potter House Cup. So the Harry Potter House Cup was started by a bunch of friends who wanted to finish more of their works in progress and have an incentive to do so. And it has become kind of a massive, massive game. So if you're just wanting to start and you just want to try it out, you can play as what's called an NQFY, which is a not quite first year, which means you aren't sorted into a house, so you have no obligations. You're just playing for the fun. You don't even earn points, which is a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, like, you can earn badges. And badges are basically just Ravelry square pictures. So things that you could also put in your Ravelry ID, but a lot of people don't do that, because if you do that with every badge, like, no one would ever know who you are, because you'd be changing it all the time. So, okay, there's a lot to talk about. Let's talk about what classes are. Classes don't actually usually teach you anything. They're more kind of like knitting prompts or crafting prompts, because it's spinning, dyeing, weaving, knitting, crochet, and anything that falls under a Ravelry craft. So if you can submit it as a Ravelry project page, it counts as a Ravelry craft. Dyeing and weaving are also in there, although I don't know how well you can add those as Ravelry pages, craft pages, but that's how it works. So let's say, like, there's usually a theme every term, and a term is 3 months, and then we have 1 month of break. So right now we're in the first month of January's winter term. So it'll go January, February, March, April we'll have off. And then it'll be May, June, July, and then August we'll have off. And then September, October, November, and then December we'll have off. So we have a winter term, which is right now, a spring term, which is the next one, and then a fall term, which is the last one. And it's really nice, and the other thing is we don't have classes during December. So that's kind of a bummer, because there's no incentive to do Christmas knits, but on the same hand, you could get them done ahead of time. Let's say this term's theme is the Goblet of Fire, which we just did for the fall term. So let's say the class prompt is everyone's, about to fight their dragon, and we've got Cedric as our hero. So what will you craft to defend him that will be fireproof? Now, yarn isn't actually fireproof, but they might say, what silver-colored item will you craft that's fireproof? So then if you knit with a silver or a gray, boom, you've already got that in. If you can make up a good story about how your yarn is fireproof and why, boom, right there. The other thing is we're doing this on a Hogwarts-based game, so you can say that you've enchanted your whatever, or cast a spell, or dipped it in a cauldron of, fill in the blanks. It's really fun, and you can just stretch your storytelling in a really small format. So, let's say that I spun up this to protect Cedric from the dragon, and I would say, well, this is obviously fireproof because I have captured the flames of every dragon in existence using the Dragomantis spell, and he can wrap this around his neck, Cedric can, and as he's flying, he'll be protected from any dragon fire because this is enchanted with all of that, so it also repels that. And I could go on a little bit longer and get into that more, but it's kind of just a fun, and you don't have to do storytelling. You can be like, this is silver, it fits the prompt, it'll protect him. And that will also get you points. Now you get bonus points if you have a crazy amount of yardage. So since let's say this is let's say this is 450 yards. This would count as 900 yards because it's 2 strands, because it's a 2-ply. So I actually spun 900 yards and then plied them together to make 450. So 900 yards is a lot. So I would get bonus points for that. If my story was really, really good, I'd get bonus points for that. I've turned in a Hexapuff with a ridiculous story on it before and gotten 20 points, because you start out with 15 for each class. But because my story was ridiculous, I got bonus points. Now, classes that you turn in have to be started at the beginning of the month. So anything that I turn in this month has to be started in January and finished by January. They're month by month. And you're saying, like, well, I like knitting sweaters and stuff like that. We'll get to bigger projects in a second. Now, if you're finishing up a WIP that you started prior to the month that you are currently in, you can turn it in for detention. And detention's only worth 10 points. But detention WIPs can be started whenever, and you've just finished them in the month that you're in. They just added a thing this term where you can earn bonus points in detention. So I'm not entirely sure how to tell you that you'll only earn 10 points because it may not be true anymore. Now, if it doesn't work out this term, they may, remove that. But there's never really a prompt for detention. There are a couple bonus badges you can use, like sometimes if you go over a certain amount of yardage, or if your WIP is so old, or whatever. And these are just like little cute things that match whatever the theme is going on. Whatever the theme we have that is going on. So that's always really fun. So then to be a student in the House Cup, all you have to do is finish one class a month. That's all you have to do. That is the minimum requirement. And you're saying it's an online game. How can there be a minimum requirement? Well, one class gives you what's called sorting priority. So let's say I'm in the House Cup and my friend Sarah's in the House Cup. And Sarah forgot to craft something for January, but she got in February and March. My sorting is higher than hers because I got in 3 or 4 classes every month. So that means that I earned more points. So I'm a more valuable player, and since there's only so many people allowed in a Hogwarts house, they would rather sort someone who's going to play than someone who might kind of trail off and wander off. And even still, every start of term, we have not quite first years, which are what you are when you just start playing without sorting ever, who sort and then end up dropping out like immediately. So I'm not really sure why you would do that, but it happens, it gets really overwhelming. But all anyone ever has to do is one class. One class will get you sorting priority over people who've never played before. And we do have not quite first years who sort, who have never played. It's a little bit harder because you don't get the benefit. When you turn in something for a class, there's a little header you have with your Ravelry name and your house, and which would mean that you're sorted or a not quite first year, because when you're not sorted, you're a not quite first year, and your yardage and your project page and a couple other things like that. And so if a professor sees that you're a not quite first year, they will give you more leniency. They'll be like, okay, well, here's how you can do this in the future. Like, this isn't really how this works for this kind of a thing, which is really, really helpful because it gets really big and confusing. So there's classes, there's detention, and all of that helps with sorting priority. After classes, there are 5 main advanced studies. And 2 of them aren't really advanced studies, but they kind of fall into that category. There's Head Mistress Challenge, Quidditch, Brooms, also Order of the Phoenixes, same thing, different names for some reason, Owls, and NEWTS. So Quidditch, which is my favorite, changes every term. Now that sounds really stressful, but really it's just like a play by these sets of rules. So this month we are post the Triwizard Tournament, and so we're doing triage. And so one of the options for round 1, because there's usually 4, is to frog an item and reclaim the yarn. Not throw it away, not cut it up, but, back into a skein so it can be used again. So I frogged my 2 hats that didn't fit. This is my brown hat that was huge. This is my purple hat that was very small. And I frogged both of these items to be knit with in the future. So it's kind of nice because it gives you incentives to... I've organized my needle stash for points for Quidditch. I've organized my Ravelry queue for Quidditch. I've done a lot of smaller things like that aren't really something you do for a class, so that's not a craft you can turn in usually. But Quidditch has odd things. Now sometimes Quidditch is find a partner and both knit something that's blue, or something to do with whatever. But this term right now we started out with triage, and some of it was repair items, so you could get points for darning socks, which before normally that would just be a detention project because you're not really making something new, you're just fixing something. And then there was an option where you could knit something that would help clean, so like a washcloth or whatever, or you could knit like a blanket square and say it's a beautiful washcloth, or a hexie-puff and say it's a scrub pad. So there's kind of like these rules you can bend. Headmistress Challenge also changes pretty often, but it's basically like a class that lasts longer than most classes. So if you want to do that shawl that you can't quite get done in a month, but maybe a month and a week, that might be a pretty good option. After that, there are brooms and Order of the Phoenixes. Those last just about 2 months. They start mid-first month of your term, and they end like right after the beginning of the 3rd month, I think. They usually post the date, so you can actually see what your timeline is. That seems a little bit broad now that I'm saying it out loud. It might be near the end of the 2nd month. I'm not entirely sure, but it is over a month. It's like at least a month and a half. I've not done as many of those, I feel like, but I usually submit a shawl. I think is pretty much what I've always done. I think I did 2 last time, so that was really fun. Or I did a really big color work one last time, so that was pretty awesome. They're really good if you want to do like a mystery knit along, because sometimes the mystery knit along will start at the beginning of January. You build up a couple of weeks worth of clues, and you can start and knit right away, and maybe they finish, mid-February. Boom, you're good to go. If you finish ahead of time, you kind of just wait to post until you're within the posting range, because there's like a certain week when posting starts, I think. And owls are 3-month projects. So I used to do a sweater, and the last time I did a sweater, she was like, well, you're going to need to do more than a sweater because you can always get a sweater done, so you need to push yourself. So I did a sweater and a hat. And that was my plum rondo a la Turk. So you start that as soon as your owl gets approved, whereas brooms you have to wait to start. So your owl gets approved, you start right away. In the middle month of your term, so this month would be February, you have to have your 50% done. Anytime between the 1st and this month is the 29th, but normally the 30th or the 31st. And that's always a little bit stressful, but it also kind of keeps you on track. And if you don't finish that on time, you can submit that you're withdrawing, or, you can submit that you're withdrawing. So, then after owls are NEWTS, and I've never done a newt because you have to have finished, I think, 4 owls in order to do a newt, because they're kind of like, I think they're 4-month projects. So they actually work through break month, which to me just sounds really stressful. And so, but that would be like blankets or multiple sweaters or, just larger projects that you have envisioned for yourself. And a lot of this is based on how fast you personally knit. So like if you can't knit a sweater in 3 months, that's okay. Maybe you can knit 4 scarves. Maybe that's your thing. And they'll look at your project pages and how long it's taking you to do things, and they'll figure out like what works for you. Now for me, I've done a lot of competitive knitting, so I've done the National Knit a Sweater in a Month challenge, so they know that I can knit a sweater in a month if I really have to, and stuff like that. So I don't get as much leeway as I used to, because I started participating in all these things, and now I think I knit faster than what I do. So how do you sort? How do you join in? Well, during the break month, the sorting hat will announce that the sorting thread is open, and it's not really a personality test to actually sort you into the house that you're meant to be in. It kind of just says, like, do you feel more like a Slytherin or a Hufflepuff or a Gryffindor or a Ravenclaw? Like, where do you think you should be? And you can say, like, let the hat decide, or you can be like, no, I want to be in this one. Funny enough, I actually said that I did not want to be in Gryffindor, mostly because I figured everyone wanted to be in Gryffindor, because that's, like, the main house that the story follows in the Harry Potter world. But that's where I got sorted into, and I have loved every minute of it. So, I'm just checking my notes here to make sure I don't miss out on anything important. So, I've only ever been in Gryffindor, so I can only tell you what's inside Gryffindor. But Gryffindor gives you a lot of incentive to craft. So one of the things that we do is Marauders missions, and the way this works is, right now, I think we have 2 check-ins a month, and for that you'll have different requirements you have to meet of things you've finished, and usually advanced studies you've finished, and you submit all of that, and then you earn badges. And badges are just kind of a way to say, look at how awesome I am. We also do chocolate frog cards, which I'm a part of that team. And we make what looks like those little chocolate frog cards that are from chocolate frog candies. And there'll be different ones for different classes. So we do a little class write-up, and then we tag everyone, we earmark everyone who finished that class. And if you do a partial, you can collect it once you've finished Detention. So that's kind of cool. We have a book club in there so that you can read books together and discuss them online, which is pretty awesome. I don't ever finish the books soon enough. I end up getting stuck on my knitting and then never finishing the books. So I guess that's good though. And then within every house, you sort into a house, but there's like 150 or 175 people, and then that's just too many people to talk to all at once. So then you do a sub-separation into groups, smaller groups, within the main group. So there's the main House Cup thread, and then every house has their own group that you join. Like how my podcast has a group, it's that kind of a group. And within those groups are little threads, which are different subgroups. So, usually what we have is called prides, because we're lions. The snakes have snake nest, I think. I don't know what Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff have, because I haven't been over there. So, in our prides, I think we have like 20 or 25 people. And that way it's like small enough that you get to know everybody and you can discuss stuff without feeling like you're shouting at 200 people all at once in the common room. The common room is just where everyone in Gryffindor can hang out, but the pride is where people who are just in those pride hangs out. And people who can come in and go and out that aren't from that pride, but it is mostly for the pride members who are, selected to be in that pride. And there's no like pride of all the best members and pride of all the worst members. They split it up really, really evenly, and also they put in like an even amount of brand new, like they call them firsties, the first year students, and then they assign them a mentor of someone who's already been in the House Cup for a few terms, so that they can kind of like guide them and answer questions for them. They don't have to. That way, they have like a person they can talk to. I have been a pride leader for several terms now, which is really, really cool, and I've had several different mentees, because I'm the mentor, right? So they're the mentees. I'm the mentor. Okay. One of them was even someone that I met at SSK, and then she joined the group because of me, and that was really awesome, and a total happenstance, because no one really knew that we knew each other, so that was super duper fun. I got to be a mentor for Steph Osborne. It made me so happy. So, some prides will have incentives. Most of them have some sort of incentive, but some of them have, like, overarching incentives. Up until now, I've done a thing called Gringotts, where, because the Gringotts Bank is a Harry Potter thing, where we would do different things every week to earn new Gringotts coins, and then at the end we'd have a big, like, raffle. Well, actually, it was more like an auction. But we had a big auction. It was very, very elaborate. And then the person who was in charge of that is no longer in the same pride as us. Our pride leaders got shooken up this term, which is cool, because it gets you to meet new people, work with different people. And so, me and another girl who were in the last pride, she's also named Rebecca, which is really cool. We were in the next pride together, this pride. And so, we were like, hey, we should do something like that, but maybe not quite like that. So what we're doing is more like a raffle, where people earn, we call them fairy pennies, because we're pride fairies this term. And they're all like different mythical creatures this term. For a few months, we were the Norwegian Ridgebacks, which was cool, because we were all dragons. And so the way it's working is that everyone earns a fairy penny for different types of conversations they have. So, like, we have Making It Mondays, where we're talking about what we're making. And then we have Wandering Wednesdays, which is where you can ask questions about life or the House Cup or just anything, or about knitting or crafting. And then I think Friday is like Favorite Finds Friday, and it's like talking about that pattern that's just been like stuck in your head that you just have to knit, you just want to share it with everybody, which is cool. And then like we'll have a raffle, and I'll assign numbers to everybody based on how many tickets they have, and multiple numbers. And then I will do a random number generator to randomly select one of them, and they'll win a prize. And it's usually a physical prize like yarn or books, and sometimes it's Ravelry patterns. It just depends what we're doing that month. So that'll be really, really fun. So prides include all sorts of incentives like that, and they usually include some sort of Quidditch, like morale boosting thing, so that's always really fun. So the reason that I really like the House Cup is because I need motivation to do things. And because of the house cup, I always have very accurate project pages. I feel like when I get on Ravelry, I have people to talk to, which is really, really nice, and definitely not to be overlooked. And like I always have Ravelry messages from people who want to talk to me about house cup stuff or whatever's going on. I do a lot of volunteering within Gryffindor to help with different stuff, so I do have a lot of responsibility on there actually. But that's okay, you know. It also helps you meet people and enhance your skills, because one of the things I do is I'm a badge maker, which means I'll make little ravatars for people or little like study spinning hall, you know, fall of 2015 little pictures. And so I really enjoy that because I feel like, I don't know, just makes me really happy. Sorry, I lost my thing. So I got lost on my list of things to talk about. So the other thing is, I don't really craft for classes. I craft and then submit to classes, and there's 2 schools of thought on that. You really can do it either way. So there are usually 8 classes. There are always 8 classes. You can do 6 and get points for all 6, and then after that you're just getting bonus points. And so I usually will make something and then figure out where it fits, and sometimes that's not so easy. And sometimes it's very, very easy. But I think I like that better than knitting a bunch of stuff that I feel like I knit just for a prompt, not necessarily something that I've wanted to knit. So it works really well for me. And that's what I think matters, is because I'm the one who has to live with all the stuff that I've crafted. So that's what should be important, is how much I'll use it or how much I want it. So that is pretty much all I know about the house cup. I'm sure I've missed a few things because there's just so much to talk about. But if you're at all interested, or if you have questions, or if I need to clarify something, feel free to send me a message and I will either answer you directly in the thread, or I'll bring it up next podcast, which will be much sooner than this one was from the last one. I think work is finally kind of balanced out, and I'm kind of back to a place where I feel like I can breathe again. I had a lot of stuff to learn and take on, and that was a little overwhelming. So, and then it was also Christmas, so I had like no time. But you know, live and learn, getting there. Also, I did not get this sweater. This sweater is a Target sweater, just in case anyone is wondering. I won't lie, buying sweaters is nice too. But that's the house cup, the yarn diet, and a very miniature podcast for you. I hope you all have had a great Christmas and New Year, and I hope January is just kicking butt and taking names for you, and it's more awesome than you could ever imagine. So, with all of that being said, remember, if you're knitting for points, for imaginary internet points, whether they're for my yarn diet or the house cup, or if you're just relaxing crafting, I'll knit with you. Bye, guys.